we have a graphic that was put out by a popular K-pop girl group, and a lot of people on the internet felt like something looked a little suspicious. So let's delve into the situation, and again, please don't send hate to any parties involved. So this is involving the girl group Red Velvet, which is owned by SM Entertainment. And for context, they debuted in 2014. They're an extremely popular girl group, and I don't know anything about K-pop, so feel free to correct me in the comments here. But from what I saw, Red Velvet is a K-pop group that seems to be very renowned for their visuals, for their visual concepts, and it being very creative. So the other day on Twitter, Red Velvet put out this post, schedule poster Red Velvet Summer mini album. And they had attached this graphic. It is a series of 12 tiles, kind of with different iconography on it. There's some mermaids, there's somebody surfing, there's a shell. It's very sea themed with a lot of blues, a lot of teals, etc. And a lot of people kind of felt some type of way about this poster specifically. And I just noticed this, and I think it's so funny, but like people were tagging me. I saw this being like, need help deciphering this. Is this AI? Help, pretty please. Well, I'm here to help. Let's delve into this. A user on Twitter writes, so anybody have an artist on this one to prove it's not AI? Because it surely looks like AI too. And Red Velvet was posting like the larger blown up images of the individual tiles, again as teasers. This is one of the examples of the tiles. Taking a look at it, on first glance, you might be like, oh, maybe it's like human made, etc. There are some things that kind of leads me to feel like something is a bit off. Again, I want to add a big disclaimer, art can look very, very different depending on who's making it. So there are things that can be human errors. Just because things look a teeny bit off doesn't mean you just immediately start pointing fingers. One thing that I find very interesting is the resolution of the image relative to like the embossed detail in the center and the details you have on the border versus the texture you have in the center of the tile, which kind of looks like it has like a sort of like ceramic glaze on it, right? The glaze is pretty low res, but everything else is really, really high resolution. I just think that contrast is a bit interesting. Maybe it is an error due to photo bashing, but delving more into the details on the border, which is where a lot of the inconsistencies that I see kind of come in, there are a lot of surfboards on the border. And so you would kind of imagine the surfboards to all be drawn or rendered in a pretty similar way. I mean, artists are lazy. Some artists do want to like, render every single one individually. Some will just kind of copy and paste whatever you see fit. I just see things that are like repetitive, but like not exactly the same. So at the back of all the surfboards, there's the fin for the surfboard, right? And then we have like the back of it. This one, for some reason, has like a divot in it that you don't see in literally any other surfboard on here. And the back of every single surfboard is slightly different. This one has like a baby divot in it, and none of the other ones really have that. And then we also have the surfboard that is stuck inside a bunch of coral. And here we can see the way the coral looks. Here, the coral has a lot of like little extra lines coming out of it that makes you feel like, oh, this is kind of interesting, a bit odd. Maybe it's an artistic choice to add these extra lines. It could also be AI artifacts, which is kind of what I'm feeling it is. There are more details on the bottom. We have little shells on the bottom right and the bottom left. And notice the details. The bottom left, the shell has this sort of like glowy, flowery sigil coming out of it, and there's 5 dots on the top of that. And you have the sigil on the right as well, but you don't have the dots on top of it. It could be human error and it could have been forgotten, but the way this is designed, it's designed to be symmetrical. So it's interesting that it's omitted just for only the right side. So not feeling confident about this one. And the commenter writes, there's weird artifacting around the whole middle plane. Figures across the bottom are unsymmetrical. Bottom right corner floor has dots, the right doesn't. The bottom corner coral is completely different. This could be a weird artist choice, but this is SM Entertainment. So they add 2 other, blown up versions of the tiles, and they write, not liking these either. Ugh, I hate how it's so hard to tell. So next up we have this yellow tile, which also features the same sort of glaze. This time it is a surfboard stuck in the sand with a palm tree with some waves in the back in the sun. And it also features, again, the same sort of intricate detailing around the border. This, once again, has me feeling not fully confident that it might be handmade. There are elements of it that just look a bit odd. And again, the thing is, human error is a really real thing that does happen. But the big thing with like AI artifacts is these are things that when a human draws, even if it's a human error, there's like a reason why. And AI artifacts typically don't have that same sort of reason that kind of makes sense. It will be like arbitrary mistakes that you really typically will not see a person make. We once again have like these sort of fleurs in the bottom. And then here, the way they did the border is that it's all in like isolated grids, right? And the fleur on the right, there is that trim for the border, as you can see here, that inserts halfway into where the fleur is and then disappears. We don't have that on the left. Now, again, it could have been human error with the way it was drawn. It's a bit interesting. Another one we did take a look at is we have the shells around the palm tree. And some of the shells you can identify, like these are clearly seashells, etc. Some of the others, is this a rock? Like, what is this two divot rock? And there's another one that looks like that. Like, typically, again, when humans draw things, you could tell, oh, this is supposed to be like the coily shell. This one's supposed to be the sand dollar. I can't tell what that's supposed to be. So it's a bit interesting. And it's pretty faint and it's hard to see, but there's these two starbursts on the sides here, and the star inside the starburst doesn't match up. Like here we have what looks to be a star, and then one of the legs is missing and instead is a dot. But then on the starburst on the left, it is all connected as if all the legs of the star are actually attached to the body. But they're all a little wobbly looking. That's a bit interesting. This one to me is a little bit more obvious that something finicky is going on here. This one we have like a cerulean blue tile that is glazed over. We have a mermaid on it, and there are some leaves on the mermaid and some flowers. This one to me is pretty obvious. Again, it features a border, and the border has this sort of like wave pattern going on in here. And there's a couple of things that I find odd. In the border, there's a whole bunch of turtles. So in every single corner in the middle of each of the sides, there is a turtle, except one has a swirl. So you see here, turtle, turtle, turtle. There's 7 turtles. And the 8th one is just this circle thing. It's a circle in a circle with a half circle around it. What happened to the turtles? This just doesn't make any sense from a symmetry perspective, unless there's a lore reason as to why it's drawn this way. But even all the turtles are drawn differently. So 3 of the turtles have coffee beans for shells, you know, the stereotypical way a coffee bean is drawn. Then 3 of them have swirls for shells. So swirl, swirl, swirl. This one has a TikTok logo that's turned sideways, which bids the question of why. One other thing that's odd is, again, here we have the outer trim. What's going on here? There's a cut here. It kind of looks like there were 2 images and one was photoshopped on top of another image, and that created this divot or cut in the tile, which again is odd. And then we look at the flowers. So by the mermaid's hand, there's 3 flowers. We have a flower, a second flower, and then the 3rd flower is actually 2 flowers that are joined together by the center stem. And then we have the stars. We have a star, star, star. What's happening with this star? And why is it only 4 points? It's missing an arm. There's just a lot of oddities. And then the leaf here. Maybe this was an artistic choice with all of these leaves, but 1, 2, 3, 4 of the leaves are drawn in the standard, like, you know, tropical leaf style. Then one of the leaves, it's a really ornamental leaf. And then one of the leaves, half of it is the tropical leaf look, and the other half is very ornamental. Maybe there's a lore reason why midway through in the same plant, it morphs into a different type of leaf. I don't know. But this one to me is quite obvious that there are some, what I would suspect to be AI assistants used in the creation of this. And a commenter replied, graphic designer here, definitely AI. Most likely they created a quick mock-up in Photoshop, so there's no artist to credit, with how they wanted it to look, and then fed it to ChatGPT, saying something like, make this look like a reflective blue kitchen beach tile. Another person quote retweeted, writing, brother, and they point out other oddities in the tiles. So here we have some more tiling where it's, again, like, what is happening with these tiles? This is like a chevron, and then it becomes a line. These are 2 lines that then turn into a triangle. Here we have, this is what I was talking about. This is the TikTok turtle and the random swirl, where again, everything else around here was actual turtles. And then somebody looked a little closer at these graphics because a user writes, yikes, the middle mermaid tile has a Gemini logo. And you can see it over one of the seashells, a really, 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 really faint Gemini logo over this seashell, over this mermaid in the middle. And another person writes, so the SM team be like, Gemini, generate an oceanic image for me. ChatGPT, remove the Gemini logo. So there we have it. There were AI looking elements, and a lot of people were defending it, being like, oh, well, I mean, you don't know for certain, right? And then this was revealed, and people were kind of like, oh, well, now there's no way to backtrack that. And a user wrote this on Twitter, writing, genuinely upset with the Red Velvet team using AI when their creative direction was one of the reasons I started standing in the first place. And that's the sad thing at the end of the day, right? And regardless of like the girls in the group, etc., right? I don't work in the K-pop industry, but largely these artists don't have a say. It is the management that is just doing all of this, and they just kind of got to roll with it. It sucks if it's like your group that had such creative ideas and like the concepts were so cool, and then, you know, management or whatever was like, yeah, let's start rolling out all these AI posters. Yeah, let's use this. It's kind of blows, you know? So yeah, don't send hate to any parties involved. Support your favorite artist. Sucks to see management making these types of decisions. And on a second note, there was also another like creative situation that involved some potential AI that I thought was interesting. This is a post made by MrBeast that reads, first person to reply with the exact number of pennies in this room wins $10,000. It is what looks to be a glass room with some gaming chairs and, you know, like a room set up in it. And there are pennies on the floor, a ton of them, in fact. I can tell you it's at least more than 30. And so rules were added, etc. People in the comments were guessing how many pennies there were. Somebody guessed 6,970,000. And MrBeast quote retweeted that saying, we have a winner, sending him $10,000 now. For those wondering, no, it was not AI. We put 6,970,000 pennies in that room. Haha. And then a user replied, can you please stop poisoning the minds of our young people, you pathetic clickbaiting fraud? And they showed some zoom in screenshots of the room. I don't think pennies look like that. Some people ran it through AI checkers and it flagged as having a synth ID and appearing to be likely 99% AI generated. And they have another photo where you can see more of the really, really warping pennies. I mean, again, if you look at this image, you blow it up, you can see there's some square pennies over here. There's some round ones over here. I don't know what's happening with this one. There were some people in the comments trying to defend MrBeast being like, oh, well, it's just image compression, etc. I mean, image compression is real. It doesn't make pennies like square and like a really long line all of a sudden. OP replied in their comments writing, the pennies are in fact real. Thank you for showing me the video. I hadn't seen the video. The photo is obviously AI generated, despite his claim it isn't. I don't want to live in a world where we're shown something like that and just accept it as real. So I mean, hey, just a little small thing at the end of the day. I just think it's kind of interesting because, I mean, I do obviously believe he dumped 7 million pennies in a room. It is completely in line with the type of content that he makes. Just a little interesting that there's like a penny guessing post where if you guess correctly, you get $10,000, except the post you're guessing off of is an AI post. I just thought it was funny, so I wanted to share. Again, don't send hate to any parties involved. But if you like this video, I appreciate it if you like and subscribe. Don't forget to check me on Etsy. I have digital art there for streamers and creators. I also have a coffee with free resources, like a free sponsorship guide and little life update about like health stuff. But my grandmother is very ill, so I will probably end up going back to spend some time with her. So if I end up filming a bunch of really scuffed videos in my childhood bedroom, that is why. So yeah, just letting you know, probably going to be some scuffed vids coming out soon. Yeah, hopefully she gets better though. So with that, I hope to catch you guys in my Twitch streams or in another one of my videos. Peace.